Hey, welcome.
Hey,
Are you ready
everybody.
to party?
It's
Ready to
party
go? Yeah.
over
Okay.
where Ryan's at.
I'm gonna put that back. How's it going?
It's
Welcome
great.
everybody. Don't
Ah,
worry, Wednesday. Nice to see you. Whoa, Joe just had a big flash of lightning. It just lasted
that
a
was
really long.
amazing. I've seen the light.
I've seen it in the reflection of you. Yeah. Hey, Ichiraku and Jeff, Jesse, Jono, Kerosin. Nice, welcome. Or Karosen? Karosen? How do you pronounce that? Karosen? I don't know.
Yes. And I
Hey,
don't know
welcome.
if anybody wrote down the time. Did somebody write down the time? Are we doing the experiment? We're keeping track of when we're starting. Today was about 8:50.
Oh, my eyes. Are you all right?
It was earlier than last time, yes.
Apparently.
Yes.
Yeah, it's still a bit late. We wanted to come on a lot earlier, but Jesse had work to do. He was held back there for a little while.
Yep.
Happens sometimes.
It
But
does.
here we are. I'm ready to do a show for you guys. Thanks for stopping by, and should have a fun time. Princess isn't here with us today, so we'll do our best to monitor the chat and make sure that we get your guys' questions, so that we can save them. But if you have anything, please do ask, because no one here right now has a question that they've posted before. So if you've got something in your mind, feel free. So this is a show, basically, if you haven't been here before, or if you have, as a reminder, this is Don't Fret Friday. This is the show where we just talk about whatever issues you might be dealing with. Feel free to talk about or post in the chat. You can send us an email at dww@bss.studio, like CDPNL just wrote down. Or you can write it on the website for us in the Don't Worry Wednesday section. But anyways, yeah, you just put down whatever issues you're going through in life right now. Whether that be with your family or friends, or maybe you just had a pet that died and you're having a hard time overcoming the emotions there, or whatever it is. We're here for you. We're not professional psychiatrists or psychologists or doctors or police officers or firemen or veterinarians or librarians. But we may offer some books and some advice, but mostly we're here to encourage you, just to be as a good friend, and help you along your way. Because a lot of times you already know what to do. You just need that encouragement. Maybe once in a while, a little bit of perspective, some time to think about stuff, some time to just vent, put your thoughts out there, and then all of a sudden have things click for you. It's just kind of how it goes. So, yeah. Anyways, yep, that's Don't Fret Friday, and we can get started with that as soon as we get questions.
Yes, unless we can do roll call.
Yeah, and we can do roll call and see who's here. So, right now, our list of people that, if you're here, if you're lurking or something, please let us know, and we can talk about it. But we've got Angel, Dead, Knox, Amira, Deku, Aaron, Nathan, Amira again, Bakugo, Science, Sun Ryosuke. No, Ryosuke. Yeah, Ryosuke. That's right. And that's it. So, if you guys, if any of you guys are here, please let us know. That way we can talk to you and cover your concern. But again, if Jono, what's on your mind? Jono, talk about it.
I think Jono left.
Jono's gone already. Oh yeah, he did.
Jono came and left already.
Yeah. Yep. It looks like we've just got Jack with us.
We got Jack Sarosin.
Maybe that's how you pronounce it. How do you pronounce your name there? Sarosin, Kerosene? Sarosen.
Sarosen.
Oh,
it's right there. It's written down.
That's fun. I'm reading it I'm reading his name in the post where it is written down how you pronounce. Wow.
Oh my gosh, we're on top of it.
Zero-sen.
Sarah said,
Zero-sen. Wow.
yep.
Hey, Akil. What's up, Akil?
Akil's here.
Yeah. Wow. Jesus. You good, you good. I don't know. Hey, sweet. It's Random Lover of Physics. Hey, how's it going, man? I just came out here to say hi. I have an exam to attend to in an hour. Ooh, okay. Well, have a good exam. I hope that that goes really well for you. And
Mm,
thanks for stopping by. We appreciate it. Yeah, not many people are here right now, which is kind of interesting.
yeah,
Apparently, Princess is gone, and then basically no one wants to be here because that's everybody comes for Princess.
I know. You know, like that's pretty normal. Princess holds it all together, and
Hmm.
to be honest, it was pretty crazy because for a while we did this show, and she wasn't doing what she does now for the show, and and we did it, and we somehow made it through.
Hmm.
But then when she started being the chat room hostess and handling all that stuff that she handles, now I sit there and I'm like, how would we ever manage without her?
She's very
You know?
helpful getting all
Yeah.
of the concerns, questions, and stuff and comments into the website for us or recorded, written down for us so that we can um, go back and get those. Because a
Mhm.
lot of times in the past, people would ask their questions in the chat, and if we didn't write it down, it's just lost. You know, so yeah, cool. Thanks, Jack. We really appreciate that you stopped by. So hopefully, hopefully you'll have a good time every time.
Oh
Oh,
my.
hey, Kay. Um, okay. Kay says, "Hey, I'm gonna be here, but I had a really bad day. My cousin died, so I won't be very talkative in chat." Yeah, I'm
I'm
sorry to hear.
sorry to hear that, Kay.
We'll pray for him. Hope,
Hmm.
um, yeah, I'm sorry.
And you
That's rough.
and all of your family.
Hmm.
That's tough.
Yeah, that can be tough.
Mhm.
Yep, definitely. Jesse gives you hugs.
That's not an easy thing to handle a lot of times, especially if it's untimely when someone's younger.
Oh yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, definitely. Met a lot of people who a younger person dies in the family, and it's a lot more heartache
Hmm.
than an older person. That's for sure.
Hmm.
Yeah, very hard to deal with that. But you get through it. Hopefully, hopefully, um, you are capable of seeing things in a good light. Um, despite things, um, like they're gone, right? But at the same time, you can you can appreciate what you had, and also appreciate that perhaps they're in a better place now. Um, that gives you some ease if you are of that belief, I suppose. Um, but yeah, it's pretty much hard on everybody when that happens.
Hmm.
Jesse has something.
Yeah, Jesse says I kind of have a question, and
Yeah,
Jack says maybe I'll add a small concern.
yeah,
And
we
yeah,
please
absolutely.
do.
Any concerns, any and
Yeah,
all concerns,
yeah,
big or small, we
big or
will.
small. Yeah, I mean, it could be as simple as like, I'm working on a way to fold my laundry faster because it takes too much time. Like that's fine. I don't
That
know if I'll have a lot to say about it, but Anything's
Well, the
good at this.
proper way to figure it out, though, is
Uh-huh.
to time yourself.
Is to time yourself
Yeah.
with the same exact set of clothes. So you have to make sure you wash it and it's presented in the same exact fashion every time.
Well, what you could do though is not necessarily, because what you can do is just make sure you have, say like 5 t-shirts, a couple fleeces, a pair of jeans, and a pair of dress pants, and some socks,
Fleece?
whatever. Yeah, like what I always wear.
Oh, like a sweatshirt.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
like
okay.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you just put all that stuff in a pile, and then you start the timer, and then you fold it all,
Mm-hmm.
and then you stop the timer.
Yeah, and you stop the timer and you can time yourself.
Yeah.
That's kind of an interesting.
And then you mess it all up again, and you try a different method.
Ah,
But
okay.
see, that's not very productive though,
No,
because then you're just undoing what you did.
right. But you might be saving time in the future. The question is, can you get back enough time that your training actually helps? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
You spend more time training in the end, in the long run, and it didn't actually make up any time because you're not earning that enough time back. Questions.
I think it was Abraham Lincoln who said, if you gave me 6 hours to chop down a tree, I would spend the first 4 hours sharpening my axe.
Yes. And that's a phrase that dates back even farther before him. But yeah,
Hmm.
his phrase was his own, but I think there's another phrase much like that. It came from China. But I don't remember how that goes because I'm not Chinese and I don't speak Chinese.
I don't speak Chinese either,
Really?
so I can't help. No,
Oh.
I'm not very helpful there.
So Jesse says, what can you do when you're surrounded by so many smart people that know so much more than you?
That is a really good question.
Yeah,
And I
that's a
think it was directed at me because he knows that
they.
that's the way I am all the time.
Yeah, you're one of those smart people. So
No,
you
no,
get
no.
creative
I'm the
side.
person surrounded by the smart people.
When?
Oh man, that's always the case.
Okay, sorry. Okay, sorry. All right. Yeah, no, that's actually a really great question. Because yeah, I think that happens to a lot of us. Being surrounded by people who are really smart or smarter than us about certain fields, or we're in a field with them and we're supposed to know the same information, but they know way more. And it's just and it can sometimes be painful experience. It can sometimes make you feel weak or um, something along those lines. But oh, hey, what's up, princess? Welcome. But yeah, it's a good question. I like that, Jesse. Thank you very much for the question. And yeah, so hey, welcome, princess. Thanks for joining. I know that you're in China right now. We were talking about a phrase about sharpening your axe before you cut down the tree, and I think it originates from somewhere in China. The first time it was used, and that's what it was talking about in China. But anyhow, um, staying on track, Joe, what do you have to say about all that?
About Jesse's question or about
Yeah,
China and the
about Jesse's question. Yeah.
yeah, I feel that way a lot. Actually, I feel that way every week on Mondays because we have a Black Static and Swerve conference call. And I have been surrounded by so many smart people. And I just feel really, really humbled and blessed to be there. It's kind of funny because, especially when it comes to computer stuff, I know the absolute least of the whole group of Black Static and Swerve.
I'm not sure, but I think there's certain parts of the computer system that you know better than some people, and yeah, but
I know the part you hit with a hammer. I know that part pretty well. But it's hilarious because like when I'm outside of the Black Static and Swerve conference calls, well, like when I'm with my wife and kids and, you know, my in-laws and my parents and whoever, you know, when I'm with my family, I'm like the smart, geeky computer nerd guy, right? Like I'm the super smart one that they all ask the questions to. It's hilarious. But then I'm like, man, if you think I'm smart, you should just see the people I hang around because because you know, they all know so much more. And anytime I have a question, I'll just ask them. And it was really hilarious because I was talking to Ryan's brother Kyle one time, and I was asking him like the 4,000th computer question that I'd asked him, you know, over the course of a year or something, you know, and I just asked so many computer questions. And finally he said to me, he goes, "You know what I do when you ask me a question, Joe?" I'm like, "What's that?" He said, "I Google it."
Yes. Yep.
And you can do that too. And I'm like, what? Like it blew my mind. It was a really small explosion, but it totally, yeah, I was like, whoa, what the heck? And, but so what do I do when I'm around people and they're much smarter than me? David Watt says something really good here in the chat. The simplest thing to do when surrounded by people who know more than you is to learn from them. Absolutely. You know what's amazing is that, you know, you get around people and you think they know more than you. And they probably do in some regards. But you know more than them in other regards with other things. And it's funny, like I can get around a group of people and depending on our level of academic knowledge, you know, some people can feel smarter or not quite as smart, but the reality is all of us have learned things about something. And all of us are superior to others in a certain way, mentally, in a certain subject of knowledge. You know, each one of us has our strengths in that department. Each one of us has a weakness. And so the beautiful thing is, no matter who you're around, you can always learn something. That's a beautiful thing because even when you're around people, you might think, oh, well, they're kind of dumb or whatever, which is not a very good thing to think of anybody because they're smarter than you in some ways. I'm not a big sports nut, right? I'm a musician and, you know, I like, you know, doing that kind of stuff. I like being in the arts and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, I'm taking martial arts classes, but my oldest son is playing baseball. And I'll go to his practices and I'll watch, and they all want me to participate and help coach. And I don't know squat. Like, I feel like I know less than most of those kids.
Yeah. Yeah. I would be in the same boat. I'd be like, how do you play this game though? Like, what do you want me to do?
Right. So they're like, well, just throw some balls up in the air, you know, so they can practice catching pop flies. I'm like, okay, I can do that, you know. And then I start doing it and I'm like, oh, that was a bad throw. And then I do it again. Oh, that was a worse throw. Like, I'm sorry, guys. I'm not even good at this. But the point of all that is just, you know, there's always something you can learn. And you might surprise yourself. I was talking to another dad at the baseball field yesterday. And he's actually one of the coaches for another one of the teams at that school for the next grade level up. And I was talking to him and he never played baseball. He never coached baseball or anything. And I can't remember what sport he played in high school. He said he might have been I don't remember. He played something else, and he never played baseball, never had any interest in baseball, but his son really had an interest in baseball. And so he just started coaching because he wanted to be there with his son. And what happened was he fell in love with baseball. And he just loves it. He loves being there. He loves, helping out. He loves learning more about the sport. And it was really cool to see like this guy, he's in his 40s and he learned something new and he's really enjoying it. And so I don't know. I think when I'm around people that are smarter than me, I hope I can remember to learn something. I hope I can remember to be open to learning something. And you know, I I've learned a long time ago not to try and look like I'm smarter than I am, because that always has come back to bite me. you know. But so just be you, be yourself, and ask questions and soak up the information. And I don't know, it gives you a way to respect another person because of their knowledge. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ryan.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Joe. I think you took a lot of what I wanted to say, but yeah, actually, not just you, but the people in the chat, including um, David, David Watt. Are you the Watt, by the way? Wait, is it David Watt? Are you the Watt? David Watt? You have to let me know if you're the Watt, like if you're the on the forums, the. Because if you are, man, I haven't seen you in ages. And I hope that guy's doing awesome. I love that guy. Anyways, okay, Jesse. So here's kind of my take on this. It is really easy to to feel not so proud of yourself, right? When everybody else is around you is smarter than you. And I mean, I have experience in this. I think, I mean, for example, even my little nephew and nieces know more about dinosaurs than I do. All right. They could tell you what dinosaurs are which when they look at them. Like, I don't have any idea about that sort of thing. But, growing up with an older brother who was smarter, stronger, better, faster, heart more than ever, hour after hour, working is never over. Anyways, he was better than me at everything. Not just like smarts and strength, but also being sociable. Like, he knew how to make friends and I didn't. He knew everything and he did everything before I ever did it. So I was always behind him. But there came a day when I became better than him at something, right? I was actually just talking about this with Keaton the other day, but there was a day that I actually became better than him at something, and that was the piano.
Mm.
And you know what? I didn't feel good about that. I realized I wanted him to be good at it too. And I felt weird, like I'm better than this at him, and I don't like that because I don't want him to feel like he's not good enough. Which is interesting because I don't know, maybe that was because I felt like I wasn't good enough. Um, I wasn't better than him at anything. When I finally was, I didn't want him to have to feel that way. So I didn't like being better, which is weird. So, anyways, similarly, I think pride often steps in and makes us feel like it makes us try to grade ourselves against other people. And that's kind of silly, right? Because we all have, each person has their own gifts,
Mhm.
and that's all you have. All you have is what you've been given. All you have is what you've studied so far and have had the chance to learn. Nothing more is expected of you, and uh, it's nothing to try to rate yourself against other people. You just have what you have. So I think, yeah, it's a great idea to learn from other people. Um, but one thing that you can do when you're in a situation where um, you feel maybe stupid or something compared to people around you, um, one thing you can do is try to make them feel smarter by asking questions. Allow them to allow the enjoyment of knowing something, and allow them the enjoyment of teaching you that thing. because then it will stop you from feeling stupid. Because here's the thing: when people when you ask questions, most people don't go, "Wow, that guy's not very smart." They don't look at you like that. When you ask them a question, they're like, "Oh, I get a chance to share something from my knowledge. This is great." So, yeah, don't worry about looking stupid. Um, Asking questions will only make you smarter, right? And then you won't be, then they can't call you stupid, I guess, right? You can't call yourself stupid. Um, but anyhow, yeah, I think in every part of life, we're always surrounded by people who are better than us or smarter than us or whatever. And that's totally cool. The thing, like, for example, at Black Static and Swift, each of us has different talents, different gifts.
Hmm.
We're all better at something than the other one. We're all smarter at something than the other one. And so I'm constantly surrounded by people who are smarter than me about different subjects.
Hmm.
Uh, but instead of comparing each other, we more so complement each other, because one person can take one task that they know something about, and the other person can take a different task that they know about, or do research about a subject and learn more about it, and then whatever. Instead of trying to fight over something, we work together on it. And I think that's the best thing you can do when you're in an environment where there's people who are better than you, people then smarter than you. Um, Realize that without you, there is no action that you can perform. What I mean is, if you weren't there, the team would not be as strong.
Mm.
Not because, um, well, mostly just because you would be missing, right? You cannot perform actions. There would be nobody performing the actions that you're performing for that team if you weren't there. Um, and it's not just that the team wouldn't be stronger with a different person. The team is as strong as it can be always. Like, this team is always at its strongest. Um, there's no like replacing another person, because each person has different attributes, different things about them, different ways about them. And you can't just replace somebody, right? So instead of worrying about who's smarter or replacing somebody or getting someone smarter in there in that position, work towards becoming the person that can fulfill that role. Um, and then you get to be that person, right? Um, but anyhow, it's kind of interesting. But yeah, I'd say that it's nothing. Try not to let your pride get you down. You know, ultimately, because yeah, if you weren't there, even if you think you're not very smart, if you weren't there, then they would be missing you. They wouldn't have you to do the things that you're doing, or to think the things you think, or give the input that you give based on the knowledge and your past that you have. Because somewhere down the road, you're going to be giving input based on things that you've experienced before. And they're going to have to appreciate that, because it's like, oh, well, we wouldn't have learned that or known that if we didn't have this guy in here, um, with his particular background. So,
Hmm.
um, yeah, everybody's their own person, and everybody has their own gifts. And I think that's exactly as it's supposed to be. So,
Yep. I had that experience of being surrounded by people smarter than me today, as a matter of fact.
hmm.
And all of these people that were smarter than me in this one area, this was at martial arts, they were all also younger than me, because most of them were teenagers.
Hmm.
And there were a few of us adults in this class. This was a special class that was being taught by, what's that?
Was it like Krav Maga or whatever?
Oh no, this wasn't Krav Maga. This was the legacy program that they have there, which is basically the program where they teach you to be an instructor.
Oh, that one. Yeah. Okay.
Right? So they're teaching us all the different principles of how to run a class and what kinds of different things to run a martial arts class. And I'm there and I'm a total novice. Like, I'm just getting started in all this, and there are all these kids that have been in this program for a lot longer, and they're already tremendous instructors. It's crazy, and they broke us off into little groups. They're like, okay, get in groups of 4 or 6 or whatever, and then each one of you is going to take turns leading your group. And so you're going to have to, and then do this, do each one of these little things as you're teaching, and then your group gets to rate you and score you based on how you did with all those things. And like everybody was way better than me. And I'm sitting there like, this is really hard. Like, and it was way uncomfortable. Like Ryan always says, embrace the awkward. And that was going through my head actually while I was there, because it felt so awkward. Here I am, I'm this adult, and all these kids know this material way better than me, and they're way better at doing it than me. And I just, there was a time when my pride might have said, oh geez, and might have tried to, say something, and try to look like I was smart. But really,
I
that
did.
whole time, all I would do is just stand there in awe of these kids. I'm like watching, I'm like, oh my gosh, like these kids are going to be great instructors. Like they could all go run their own school, you know? And I was just so impressed by their knowledge. So that, I think that's another thing that you can take away too, is when you're surrounded by people who know more than you, it's okay to stand in awe of them. It's okay to look at them and have a high level of respect for them, and to even tell them, like, say, man, I'm just really impressed that you know so much
Yeah.
about this. And it really,
It lifts
you
them
know
up, and yeah.
it's a great opportunity to build up somebody for their efforts and for what they've done to learn stuff. Because when someone's really smart at something, you can just about guarantee that they've worked hard to get to that point. They've
Mhm.
studied and worked to get to that point where they know that much, and they're that good at it. So yeah, I mean, you can definitely compliment them on it, and everything. It's amazing now that they're breaking down what you're supposed to do, all the different elements of running a class. Now that I know that stuff, I'm like, oh my gosh, they have this all so systematized. I can now recognize it in my instructors when
Wow.
they're teaching my class. I'm recognizing, oh, that's point number 10. That's point number 7. That's point number 6. And I'm like watching them do this. I'm like, oh my gosh,
Nice.
this is all trainable and all laid out. So each one of us, if we decided we wanted to follow that system, we could all run our own schools. It's crazy. But
Hmm.
anyway,
Yeah.
that was just the experience. But I think the takeaway there is just be willing to compliment people, be willing
Yeah.
to, stand in awe of somebody and just have that respect.
If
Uh,
you wanna learn stuff, if you wanna get smart at something, um, having social skills does you a lot better
mhm,
than, um, than not, because you learn most things from other people or by Googling stuff, which, by the way, are posts that come from people.
mm,
They just happen to just you just don't have to know them. Um, but it's a lot easier and better to learn from people around you than it is to try to Google teach yourself everything. But one thing I did want to say, one last thing I wanted to say on this is I spent many, many, many years trying to prove or pretend that I was smart. And I didn't make any friends by doing that. um, there were many times where I didn't know the answer to something. And I was like, no, I don't want to look stupid. So I didn't ask anything.
mm, mhm,
And so I never learned. There were many situations where I saw other people that were being smart and it put me off to them. So I never made friends with them. Um, and there was a lot of times where my pretend smartness put a lot of people off from me. They didn't think that I would be very fun to hang out with, or um, I was a know-it-all, and I would just kind of want or nitpick and tell them about every time that they're wrong about something. They thought I was that kind of person, which was fine because that's who I kind of was being, and it served me no good. You probably remember this. You remember you were probably there. Timmy, uh, Jesse, you know Timmy. He came to me during like the time of your wedding, and he was like, and he said something about me being the smart kid. He's like, "Yeah, you're the smart kid in school. You got like straight A's." And I was like, "Seriously? You believed that?" No, I never told anybody I got A's at anything, but I pretended to be smart. I didn't make any friends doing it. Um, I was surprised that like I that was even believable. I thought people thought I was stupid, and so I was trying to look smart so that people would stop thinking I was stupid.
Yeah.
Apparently, people thought I was smart and no one thought I was stupid, which is funny because yeah, I definitely thought everybody thought I was stupid because I was. No, wasn't that stupid, but
I
still,
don't think that's necessarily true.
yeah. But that's really how it went. Now that I look back at it, I'm like, wow, Ryan, you did yourself in. You put yourself in that mess just by your thinking everybody else is looking at you thinking that you're stupid, when in reality everybody's looking at you thinking that you're some smart guy that they don't want to talk to because they're just going to tell them all the things about the stuff that they don't want to hear about. So yeah, um yeah, so hopefully that helps them. Thanks for giving us a question, Jesse. We love you,
Yeah.
and you are definitely super smart, so
Mm-hmm.
definitely smarter than me in a lot of things. So
Yes.
don't ever
Yes. He even says
feel
that's true.
ever thinks that you're stupid.
That's true. Jesse knows he's smart.
Mm-hmm. Good.
Yep. So
So
see, because I knew he was asking that question, so I would think about my general
yeah,
experience overall,
yeah.
which is pretty much all the
I thought he was talking about me. He was like, Ryan,
time.
explain yourself. So what does it feel like to be?
Oh.
I'm like, great. I like it. It's pretty nice. I don't have to worry about like seriously, the cool thing about being around a bunch of smart people is you don't have to worry so much because they've got it handled. Like, don't worry about it. They know their stuff. You don't have to step in there and try to correct them. You don't have to step in there and try to teach them. You don't have to step in there and be like, hey guys, we're gonna make this even better. No, you just don't have to worry about anything because you're like, no, they got this. I don't even have to, like, I almost don't even have to be here. I will be here to support them, but I don't like no responsibility on me. This is easy because
Mhm.
they're all smart and I don't need to be. I don't have to try super hard because they've already done that work. I can go do the things that I need to do. I think that's one of the best things about being surrounded by smart people
Mhm.
is they've got it covered. You don't have to try to go in there and correct them and you can just trust them. It's great.
Yeah.
But anyhow, thanks for the question. And we actually have another question here that
We
was
do.
posted.
We also have a new one from Random Lover of Physics in the Universe.
Oh, okay. So
But Jack had one from earlier.
yeah. So if Jack's still up for it, why don't we do it? Oh, by the way, thanks for everybody joining. Hey Swilk, long time no see. Hope you're doing awesome.
Mhm.
So anyways, Jack says this.
Oh, here's the link.
Oh, okay. It was written down. Is Princess on that?
No, Jesse actually
Oh,
posted it.
Jesse, you're awesome. Wow. Thank you, Jesse.
Yes, Jesse. And that's why he's level
Send Jesse
100.
the link. Send Jesse the link so he knows where to go. Okay.
Jesse knows the link.
Oh, he does? Weird.
He created
Isn't he
it.
the one who posted it in there? Huh.
Yeah.
Odd. So he says, Jack says, so I know a kid in one of my classes in school, and I really wanted to talk to, or who I really wanted to talk to. Okay. But I don't have the social skills to do that. I guess I just want to know if there's a way to get better at social skills.
Mhm.
I love this question, Jack.
Mhm.
This is something that I'm all about. I really appreciate this question, and it's something that I wish somebody taught me when I was in school. Man, when I was in school, I had like until the very end, I had no social skills, and it's like, why isn't there a class on how to make like
Right.
like how to be a human being and how to deal with other human beings, and like, why isn't this a class in school? Because seriously, that would be the most important class you could
Mhm.
have. We don't have it. Why? Ridiculous. Anyways, life would be so much easier if we had social skills, if we had training in this art and science. But one of the people that I learned most from in social skills is actually Joe here,
Oh my.
the guy right beneath me. He has taught me so much and he's encouraged me in so much of my own learning and how to teach myself as well about social skills. So um, I'm looking forward to seeing what he has to say.
Well, that's
What?
a very good question, and thank you, Jack, for asking. Because yeah, this is a really great topic. The only reason I may have known anything was because I learned from some incredible books and from some incredible people about some of this stuff. And so I'll kind of I'll I'll tell you what the books are. I've mentioned them on here before. One is How to Have Confidence and Power in Dealing with People by Les Giblin. One is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. One is How I Raised Myself from Failure to Success in Selling by Frank Betcher. Now, that title is deceptive because even though it's about selling, it really is about people skills. Because, I mean, what are we doing anytime we're interacting with people? We're kind of selling ideas, or selling the fact that they want to interact with us, so all anytime we're dealing with people, it can be some type of a sale. You just might not be trying to sell somebody a product or whatever. And then another one was Success with People. It's called Success with People by a guy named Cavett Robert. Now that book, if you follow what's in that book, it can borderline on manipulation. So you really have to make sure your heart's in the right place, because he really goes through some principles and some tactics where it's like, if I follow these, I can really like influence people directly. And so you got to be careful there too, because you want to make sure that your motives are pure. And I guess probably once I get done talking here, I'll post all those books, the links and all that stuff to them.
That's a good idea.
But yeah, I mean, all those helped so much. But one of the things that helped me with social skills a lot, even though I learned all that stuff, I still was kind of, I don't know, I still lacked a lot of confidence when I was dealing with others. I didn't feel worthy. I always put people above myself. I always felt like I was kind of bottom of the barrel, when I was dealing with other people. And so my self-esteem was low and my confidence was low. And then one of the things that helped was when I got a job as an inspector, I spent a lot of time getting yelled at by people. And as painful as that is, it built a lot of confidence in me, because I started to realize, these people are just like me in a lot of ways. And it's literally true. I had a guy say to me one time, because I think a lot of, for me anyway, if you're anything like me, my issue with social skills was my own lack of confidence. Because I lacked confidence in myself,
Yeah.
I didn't have social skills. And so then I went from there to having social skills with certain people, but not other people. Like I would have social skills with people if they were on my same economic level or social level or whatever. But then I couldn't have people skills with people I would consider above me, like, high level politicians or big business owners or company presidents or people I put on this pedestal. I wouldn't be able to do that with them. But now one thing that I heard a guy say that always stuck with me, he's like, you know what? They put their pants on one leg at a time, just like you do.
I put them both on. Like,
You do. You jump into them, don't you?
I do every
Well,
time.
good for
I
you.
don't think I've put my pants on one leg at a time like more than 5 times in my entire life. It feels weird. And it's like you got one on and you're like, well, I have to pull that one back down to put the other one back on now. What?
Oh, right. So you got to do it one at a time.
No, you
But then, but you get one on and then you get the other one on and then you pull them both up.
All right.
Right. So, but anyway, but the point is that we're all people and we all do our basic human functions. We all need to eat. We all need to sleep. We all need to, function in ways. We all, if we go a long time without bathing, we all start to ripen a little bit. And
it's my favorite.
We all just have all of our people stuff going on because we're all part of this big human family. And one of the things I've also learned is that even when people reach those high levels of accomplishment, no matter what they show the world as far as their puffed up self-esteem, we all have confidence issues. Every single one of us has insecurities. Every single one of us has challenges that we have to deal with. I know some guys who might be an absolute rock star in business meetings. They might be just great at work. And then when they get home, when dealing with their wife, the woman they married, they just have no idea what they're doing. And it's a big, big point of insecurity because they just don't know how to deal with it. I've met people like that. And so we all have points in our lives that we lack the confidence to grow in. And I think understanding that can help you empathize with a lot of people. It definitely helped me. And so now I can go into any situation or any conversation and I can talk to somebody. And one of the things to always do is learn to ask questions. Learn to notice things and learn to ask questions, because what you're going to do is you will draw another person out. That's the key number one social skill right there. Is if you want to be a great conversationalist and you want to have social skills, learn to ask questions. And you can it can just be simple questions like, oh, really? Wow, that's crazy. Or, just really simple things to draw them out. Or, wow, how did you manage that? Or how did you get to that point? Listen. And when you listen to people, ask them questions, and then listen while they're talking for signposts to ask another question about. They may be talking about something, and then something might pop up while they're talking, and you're like, oh, that's something I can dig further into. So I can ask them a question about that next. And the more you get the other person to talk, the more impressed they are with you. Because human interaction is not about impressing others with yourself. Human interaction is about making people feel good about themselves while they are in your presence. That's what people remember. And so if you can do that, and the way you do that is just by asking questions, validating them, making them feel important by letting them talk. By the end of the night, you might have said 6 words to them and they think you're the greatest conversationalist that has ever walked the planet, and they love you. And you have hardly said anything. You just asked them a couple questions and let them talk. And I'm telling you, that is it. So many times I've sat there trying to think of the perfect thing to say. And I don't need to think of the perfect thing to say. I just need to think of something to ask and then let them talk and listen. And that's really it. That's the number one skill. And all these books that I'm about to post, they will help you in the nuances of navigating that. But I'm going to turn it over to Ryan and see what he's got to say.
All right. Thanks, Joe. And yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, you know, my take on that, with basically making other people feel good, is your best route to making new friends, to becoming good at, um, being social. It's really just about, how you make the person feel, and a lot of times how you make them feel about themselves. Think about your closest friends, your best friends in life, the people that you like the most, whether that might even be your parent or or a sibling or a friend or a teacher. Think about the people that have made you feel the best about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Those things will line up. You'll notice that when people make you look good, especially to yourself, you just want to be around them more. And that's very natural. And it's not like you're trying to manipulate them. That's something that's healthy too. Because it's like they're making you feel good about yourself. They're not just trying to manipulate you, they're being nice to you and they're being a good person. And they're lifting you up and making you into a stronger individual and giving you joy. There's definitely that's not wrong, right? That's a very good thing. The best friends in life, the best teachers in life, the best parents, etc., are those people that help you to become the best version of yourself. Um, and a lot of that is by being a good person themselves and spending time looking at you. If they're spending time looking at you, and noticing your good qualities and pointing them out to you, that's an amazing person. And if you can be that person for other people, um, you'll make friends real easy. If you just look at people and start to notice things about them that you like, even if it's just something about their appearance, like their shoes or their pants, or it could be something about their personality, like the way they handle a situation or a scenario. And then you find some time to single them out and point it out to them. Like, for example, you're in class and something happens in the middle of the class and, a girl's handles it really well and you're impressed. After class, you should go up to her, find her, even though it's super awkward and you don't know how to continue the conversation after this point. You should go find her or him, whatever, and say, "Hey, I just want to let you know I was really impressed with how you handled yourself back there in that situation. I think I would have probably did this and that would have been terrible. So, yeah, I was just really impressed." And then leave it at that. And you don't even have to say anything else and you can walk away from that person. You know what will happen? The next time you see that person will look at you differently. Like you're someone special in their life. Someone that notices them. That's a thing too. Like you've probably been in that situation before where someone said something nice to you out of nowhere, like a stranger. And suddenly that person becomes something special, something like, oh my gosh, they're noticing me for good things. And that makes you feel good and it makes you want to be around that person. It makes you want to get more in touch with that person. Whether you do or not is usually based on your confidence level, but it makes you want to be around that person. And so you can do that for other people. But here's the thing. Your question, I think, lends lends it is a great question, and a great chance for me to share a story. Um, you said, I guess I want to know if there's a way to get better at social skills. So, um, that's see, you can get better at social skills by reading books, and by listening to us, and um, and that sort of thing. But the best way to get good at social skills is to actually go out there and be social.
Mm-hmm.
When like I said before, I was not a sociable kid growing up, all the way up until the last 2 years of high school. Um, at which point I basically decided, hey, I'm going to try to put myself out there and be the person I want to grow into, the person I look up to, the person I want to be. Because we all have an idea of things that we think are good and bad for personalities. Well, you have certain traits that you see in other people that you're like, wow, that's a really cool thing that they did, or that's a really cool aspect to them, or that's really respectful, really responsible. Why don't you do those things then? You know what you like to see in a person. Be that person that you like to see. And for me, that was being able to talk to people like it was not a big deal. And so I started to just be that person because the way you get good at anything, like let's say you want to get into basketball, the way you get good at basketball is actually playing it. The way you become a better person is by being a better person. That's it. The way you get better at dealing with social situations is dealing with social situations, getting in there and maybe getting messy. What I learned to do, um, so I would kind of amp myself up, like give myself a prep talk, and then I would say, "All right, I'm doing it. I'm walking," and I'd start walking towards the person that I was gonna like. I would sit down next to a person before class started that I did not really talk to ever before, and I would say something. I would, even if it was awkward, I would tell them something nice about who they were. Um, Point out something that I thought was unique or special about them, and um, surprisingly, it wasn't as awkward as I thought it would be. I thought I would sit down and say my thing, and they'd be like, "Oh, thanks." Sometimes they did do that, and you know what? I would just say, "Oh, you're welcome," and then move on. That's not that hard. But a lot of times, what happened was they're like, "Wow, thanks, I appreciate that." And I was able to ask a question like, "Where did you get that item?" Or, "Tell me more about that sort of thing." Just like Joe was talking about, just ask questions. And a lot of times I didn't even have to. A lot of times I would open up with something like that, and then they would just dive right into it and start talking about the issue or whatever it was. Um, like, "Hey, I really like your shoes. I actually like the fact that your shoelaces don't match. I think that's really cool." And they'd be like, "What? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I did that, actually started that in, like, I don't know, 4th grade, I started doing that. I thought that was pretty funny, and my mom let me do it, so I just kinda been doing it for a while now, and yeah, yeah." And I was then you've started up a conversation already, right? You can dive into many points just from there. But the way to do that is to actually get yourself to walk up there and start a conversation. Here's the other thing that I learned. I learned to love being embarrassed and being awkward. Embrace
Mm.
the awkward. Because here's the thing, it's going to be awkward. Eventually, some point, some conversation is going to be awkward. Awesome. That's exactly where you wanted it to go. Because if you can get over the feeling of awkwardness and just be like, yeah, no big deal. I wanted the conversation to be here. Enter conversations for the just in order to get them to the point where they become awkward on purpose. Try to make things awkward for yourself and for other people. Because here's what's going to happen, you do that and you beat your fears. Because a lot of times, the reason you don't want to approach a person is because you don't want it to be awkward. But if you like awkward, or if you can at least accept awkward without having to feel like, oh, no, what do I do now? I don't like this, and get anxious and stuff. If instead you can just be like, yeah, it's awkward. Awesome. Then you have nothing to fear. You have nothing to fear when you talk to that person. Um, the other thing is it builds confidence a lot. You go make a fool of yourself on purpose and let everybody laugh at you. It's like you just don't care anymore if other people laugh at you. You don't care anymore if you trip and fall on your face and people look at you and go, wow, that person doesn't know how to walk, or whatever they have to say. I don't know. What do people say? I don't know. I don't remember. I don't remember what people say in school anymore to insult you. But, well, it doesn't matter when they make fun of you anymore, because you're like, who cares, right? People don't even remember this past like a couple of days, and even if they do, it has no effect on me, because I'm comfortable with being embarrassed, because it's fun. If you can find the fun in doing things like that, there are definitely plenty of opportunities, like walking with a group of people, like your classmates or something, and then pretending to accidentally walk into a pole or something, you know? And they'll all laugh and be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you just walked dead into a pole. Right? And they'll believe it. And you'll be there like, that's hilarious. Uh, and then later, when something actually does happen, like you actually accidentally walk into a pole, and they laugh at you, it's going to be like the same thing you just went through. It's like no big deal, right? It's like, who cares? Life is life. It goes on. I'm not stuck in this moment forever. And you know what? This moment is actually funny. It's not painful. Like, maybe the poll was painful, but it's not a painful experience for other people to laugh at me. It's how I take it on the inside that's painful when people laugh at me. But you know what? People laughing at me is just like me being a good comedian. Aren't all comedians those people who make fun of themselves on stage and get people to laugh at them? Even if you do it on accident, it's still funny. It's still fun. So it's really a lot about how you perceive it, how you take it. So if you can get rid of your fears, and try a couple of things try the things that Joe was talking about, um, go out there and just do it. Be the person that you want to be. Be the person that's strong enough to talk to that friend or that person that you are curious about in class, right? Just talk to them. Because the only way you're ever going to get good at talking to that person is to actually just talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
And so just do it. And you can follow some of the things that we talked about, make them feel good about themselves. Do your best at that. And you know what? They might not be very good at conversation either. So
Right.
they might say something and then the conversation just stops. Like, they don't know what to say. And so that's just like, they're short with their words. And then it's like, okay, that didn't work that well. Oh, well. You know why? It's not probably because of you. It's probably because of them. They're not very good at social skills either.
Mm-hmm.
So you both have to learn together. If you can them again the next day or a week later, but you keep on approaching them with a friendly attitude. Um, and so long as they're not a jerk, right? Then you might as well, right? It's not going to hurt you. Unless they're like, wow, you're annoying, get away from me. Then it's like, okay, well, you don't need to be friends with that kind of person.
Right.
But if they don't say that, then you're fine, and you'll learn how to become better at social skills together.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's my best advice. I know it's kind of long-winded, but yeah.
No, it's good. And I think one thing that came up that I was thinking while you were talking was really important, because right at the end there, you were talking about what if somebody says, "Hey, get away from me. I don't want
Mm,
to talk to you," or whatever. I think I looking back, I think a lot of my trouble with social skills was because I went up against that a lot in middle school and high school,
mhm,
where I would try and be friendly with people, and then they would just like they would give me this look like, "How dare you come and talk to us?" And like I'm like, and it really, that rejection time and time again,
mhm.
really,
The confidence.
knocked me down a few. Yeah, so like
Yeah.
my confidence was super low because I always felt like I was gonna, if I tried to talk to someone, I was gonna get met with that type of thing. But that's not how most people are.
Mhm.
And those people are just being jerks. Like that's
Those people
it's
don't know how to socialize.
right. Yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
but it's yeah.
Yep. It's not because of you that people do that. It's because of them, because they have an issue that they're working out and they feel like that's the appropriate thing to say, even though it's not at all. And who knows? But if that's the case and you've dealt with that like I dealt with that, then that's, I understand exactly where you're at, and that's totally hard. And I understand why you would be afraid. However, another thing I just learned today, I was going through another book. Uh, I had so many books on Audible that I was going through. But anyway, one of the quotes that came from this one was, don't forget that when you're afraid of something, when you're looking at doing something and you're afraid to do it, you're not actually doing it yet. So you really don't have anything to be afraid of yet. And don't forget that that fear is simply a figment of your imagination. It is not a real thing. It's a feeling conjured up by your brain, by your own imagination. It's completely not even real.
Mm-hmm.
And then what you'll find is, while you may feel that fear before you go through the situation, once you go to the situation, once you get involved in the situation, the fear totally goes away, because now it doesn't matter anymore. You know what the situation's like because you're in it. Before, you're fearing what the situation is going to be like because you don't know, and so you're afraid, and so you're imagining all these things that could be bad that could happen. But then once you actually do the thing that you're afraid of, all that fear just goes away. So if you want to conquer fear, you take action. I'm sure we've all heard a million times, action conquers fear. It's absolutely right, because fear is completely imagined. It's something that we invent in our brain, and it's based on, it could be based on reality or not. Most of the time, not. Because when I'm faced with a situation and I'm afraid of it, what I find 9 times out of 10, it does not go anything like I thought it was going to go. It's not nearly as difficult as I made it out to be in my head. So, Yep, like Ryan said, just, the only way you're really going to do it, is to just go out and do it. And don't be afraid to make mistakes. Don't be afraid to have a conversation get shut down on you. It's okay. It's all part of learning.
Yeah,
And
that's thank you.
People aren't robots. So
Yep.
we can't, you don't get a pre-programmed response, like.
That's the fun thing about people. One last thing I'll have to say about the topic is just a word of encouragement. When I started to improve in my social skills by just trying to be social, I found that I had a very large boost in my self-esteem. Not because I was accomplishing something, or sorry, not because I was making friends suddenly and they were making me feel good about myself. Mostly because I was proud of myself for being the person I've always wanted to be, anyways. You want to be the person that talks to that person, that other person in class, right? You want to be that person. That's why you want to talk to them. You want to be that kind of person that can do that. But you're scared to be that person. When you just do that, even if it ends up in a failure, you're still proud of yourself for being that person. And let me tell you that confidence boost, people will start to notice you in that way, and people will want to be around with you. Like I said before, going through all of my school, elementary, middle school, high school, I didn't have a following of people. But my last 2 years of high school, when I started to get out there and do those things I was afraid of doing this like entire time, those social interactions, saying jokes out loud, etc. Suddenly, I had a large following of people that would just come to me and wanted to be my friend. Um, like I became kind of like a popular kid by default, not because I was in that group of people, but because there were so many people at school who wanted to be around me that I was technically more popular than the popular crowd. But it wasn't just me, it was my group of friends too, because we carried each other with each other. See, what happens is when you lift other people up, they lift you up. And you start to form this group of everybody lifting each other up around you. And everybody starts to grow in their belief of themselves and their belief of each other and their belief of humanity. And you start to create this really great group of uplifting people that everybody wants to be a part of. Everybody wants to be a part of a group that makes them feel good about who they are. So, just as a word of encouragement, that's that's something that can very easily happen for you if you just get out there and start to be who you want to be here. Um, Start taking action and start, talking to people more often. You'll find yourself with more than you thought you would get in terms of friendship and how you see yourself. It's a
Mhm.
really great thing. So yeah,
Yes, it is. Thanks so much, Jack.
yeah. Thanks, Jack.
That was a
Um,
great topic.
yeah, I really like that topic.
Mhm.
Was I know that Lay was writing some stuff out. I know that Random left, but he said we could do it. Lay, was yours a question? Is it written down here? Or a concern? I
Uh,
should say it was a concern. It looked like a concern to me.
what do I do? Okay, let's see. There's a few parts, looks like.
Yeah, I don't think it wasn't written down, which is fine. Um, but it was lengthy.
There's a whole bunch. Okay, it starts with I'm stuck in a friend zone, but that's just a small info to set up the situation.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
it's
Yes.
got some stuff to it.
Okay, so do you want to do well, okay, actually, let's do the roll call real quick. Angel, Dead, Nox, Amira, Deku, Aaron, Nathan, Amir, Bakugo, Science, Sun, Ryosuke, and that's it. Science is here?
Huh?
Is did I see Science? No, I didn't.
I
No,
haven't
Science
seen science yet.
isn't here. Okay, so I guess
I see
next.
Haley. Hi, Haley.
Hey, Haley. Haley, welcome. Long time no see. Well, actually, not for me, but in the stream. It's nice of you to join us. You little workaholic, you. Um, so I'm just kidding, by the way, but you have a lot on your plate. Um, yeah. What do you think, Joe? Should we do Lay's or yes, Lay's here. So Random said that he would check up on it later on the stream. So maybe we can close it down with that one.
Okay.
But let's do Lay's first.
All right.
All right. So let me refine that spot. I had it marked and now.
I'm in it if you want. If you want me to read it, I can read it.
Oh, I found it. I can read it.
Okay, perfect.
All right, question. I'm stuck in a friend zone, but that's just a small info to set up the situation. The girl I'm in love with really does her best to fit the optimal friend zone stereotype. I I did fall for her hard. She does get really emotional about her relationships, even more than usually folk do. And when her relationships fail, she comes crying to me and suddenly I start existing. A friend, I do myself, or as a friend, I do myself best to build her confidence. Oh, okay. I do my best to build her confidence in herself back up, and I try to cheer her up. I do what I can. Um, Now, wait, let me make sure I'm not skipping over. Oh, I do what I can just to help. There we go. Now, I do not expect anything in return. I do wish I had something out of that, but I know that it ain't gonna happen. So it just kind of waits in the back of my heart, just hurting me a bit. Now, as Akil pointed out, it may seem like an unhealthy relationship, but it makes me feel alive. I can't detach myself from this. I need her friendship in my life because she's just her. I don't need a girlfriend. I may have a crush on her, but all I want is a friend. And day after day, I genuinely feel like I'm more like her backup plan than a friend. Especially with her not missing me first. Wait. Yep. Okay. Especially with her not messaging me first, pretty much at all. It always ends up with either me messaging her or just days of silence. I tried A, moving past it, B, discrediting this feeling and then moving past it, C, being very hard on conveying my feelings, D, being just a friend, but ending up in anger by being left behind her. Or yeah, behind by her. Oh my gosh, I'm not very good at reading. E, refusing to help her because of an actual mental breakdown. Akil, as a response to Akil, he says, because I want to do something more than a backup. I want to be something more than a backup plan when everything goes wrong. I want to be a friend. I think that's all of it.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So in short, you have a friend who kind of treats you like their crutch when they need it, but otherwise doesn't really communicate with you. You communicate with them to keep things alive. They don't do much on that part, and you have a feeling of like towards them that stirs your emotions in the back of your heart, which brings you pain because it isn't the reality of things that you guys are capable of being together at this moment. So, all that said, that's a good question, Lay. I think that's something that a lot of us have dealt with. Maybe not exactly like that, but different pieces, parts and pieces of that. I think most of us have dealt with. So yeah, what do you have to say about all of this, Joe?
First of all, Lay, I'm sorry that you're going through this. This can be a really difficult situation. And it can be heartbreaking at the same time. Oh, real quick before I forget, Jack asked of the books that I suggested on the last question, which do I think is the best? Hands down. What's that?
Which one to start with?
Yeah, well, yeah, I would read them all, but hands down, the one that helped me the best, the one that made the most impact was How to Have Confidence and Power in Dealing with People by Les Giblin. That one was the most impactful, and every time I read it, I learn more. I've read it probably 6 times, and it still helps me out a lot. So yeah, Jesse said, oh man, you're gonna make Joe think for like 15 minutes trying to figure out what book is better. It's true, but I can say easily that the Les Giblin book helped me out the most, so I would definitely start with that one.
There's a reason that book is so well known across the world.
Yep. So anyway, on to Lay's question. So Lay,
see
it's totally a tough situation, and I think it's kind of tough. Oh, Lay says update. It's been kind of going on in the background for a very long time. I had a thing towards her before me and my ex came together, and then after she passed away. So years. Okay. So it looks like Lay had an ex that passed away. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. But at any rate, so you've got this crush on this girl, and you're getting treated like this, and you're in the friend zone, and you're kind of, in a sense, it seems like you're almost being used as like the backup plan, you said, which totally I can relate to that. So I don't know, it's super tough because it can be heart-wrenching, especially when you really have feelings for a person, to be treated that way by them. And boy, I mean, I can think of a few things that you might be able to try as you're going through there. I mean, it looks to me like you've already got some options laid out. What were the options? Let's see if I can
Yeah,
get
a
to it.
lot.
Yeah. Oh,
Right,
what you've tried. You've tried moving past it. You've tried discrediting the feeling and then moving past it. You've tried being very hard on conveying my feelings. You've been tried being just a friend, but ended up angry by being left behind. And you've tried refusing to help her. So, you know, and none of those things seem to work. But, you know, if none of those are working, then sometimes it's best. You know, we've said this on the stream before. You know, we should love everybody, but you don't always have to love everyone from a close distance. Like you can love someone from afar, and that's okay too. And it sounds to me like in this case, that having a little distance between you and her might be a good thing, because if you're only, you know, if she only comes to you when she's hurting or something, and you're kind of like her therapist in a way, I mean, that's a type of relationship that can exist, and it can be all, and that can be okay. You know, you can be helpful in that regard. But it's still it's not necessarily a friendship, because you don't really have a two-way street there. So okay, I'm just reading the update. Oh, Lay says, okay. Yeah, we already helped moving past his ex-girlfriend's suicide. So, okay. At any rate, it's, I gotta say, it's a little bit harder to read through the chat and see the things, and not have Princess to handle a lot of that stuff. But either way, Lay, I might try doing something that I mean, I don't know if you've tried this yet or not, but just not being available once in a while. You know, if you're always available when she calls or texts you, then it might be easy to get shoved into the backup plan role, because if you're the go-to person when she's having trouble, then obviously, you know, anytime there's trouble, you're who she's going to go to. And it seems like she's not going to you if there's no trouble at all. It's only when, you know, after all this other stuff is exhausted, then you're the go-to person. And while that's nice to have a person to go to, with I don't know, I just get a weird vibe from the whole situation. I feel like maybe if you're being used, you know, if you're feeling like you're being used, then it might be good to put a little bit of distance between you. One thing, I don't know if you've tried this or not, have you actually asked her or told her that you feel this way? Because that might be something to do as well. You might say, hey, you know, because of this, because of the way this is, I feel like, you know, kind of like your backup plan. It doesn't really feel all that great, you know. Is that how you see me? You know, am I just the person you fall back on when everything else falls apart? You know, or are we really friends? You know, like, I don't know. I mean, you might, if you're feeling that way and you haven't told her that you feel that way, you might mention it and see what she says. depending on her response, that might give you a direction on where to go with the whole thing. But
it also might make her more conscious of herself to start changing what she's doing.
mhm. Yep. So in the meantime, I mean, if I guess the question is, are you just there waiting for her to call? Because if that's the case, then what I would do is maybe try and do something different. Try and learn a new instrument, or pick up something, or do something creative, or write, or read, or do something to occupy yourself that's productive, so that you're not just sitting there waiting for her to call. The more you can get focused on a project, the more this situation might fade into the background. I have a way of doing that. It's weird because I take on a lot of projects and I keep myself really busy, and I try and juggle everything. And now that I have a family, they're one of my top priorities, and I always try to, in my schedule, like I always try and fill the first notch with them and then work everything else around what I have going on with my family. Obviously, I have work commitments. Obviously, I have other projects. I have stuff to do here at Black Side Could Swerve. There's all kinds of stuff going on. But one of the things is, because of all that stuff going on, I really don't have time to get caught in, any type of drama somebody's throwing my way. And if somebody's trying to involve me in some kind of dramatic thing, like, I just will not play along. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I don't have time to play along with this. Like, if you have a genuine problem, let's work it out. Yes. But I mean, if we're just trying to be dramatic here, like, I'm sorry. I don't have time to rack my brain over that, because I've got too many things going on. And maybe that's something you might consider. I wouldn't necessarily tell you to overload your schedule, but Lay, I'm sure you've got I'm sure you've got dreams. I'm sure you've got things you want to accomplish. I'm sure you've got goals for your life. You've got dreams for what you want your life to be in. Start figuring out what you can do now to pursue those. Because I don't think I know how old you are, but no matter our age, we can start moving in the direction of something. I knew from a long time ago, when I was a little kid, I wanted to be a rock star. And I wanted to be a drummer, right? From a very young age, I knew I wanted to be a drummer. And I never owned a drum. I never owned anything. So what I did was I went out and got some sticks from the trees out in the yard. They weren't drumsticks, they were just sticks. And I broke them so they were like a comfortable length. And then I set up old boxes in my parents' garage and I started banging on them. Like, I was just banging on boxes with sticks because I knew I wanted to be a drummer someday. And so I'd just be out there, boom, 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 boom,
That's awesome, dude.
And I never knew, I didn't know that wasn't going to help me. And then I finally got to the point where I had an actual drum. When I was in 5th grade, I had an actual drum because I was in the band program. And so then I would sit there in my room and I'd be practicing, whatever exercises I had to do on the drum. And I'd sit there and I'd be like, I wonder if I play loud enough, if one of the rock star people I know is going to be driving by my parents' house and they'll hear me, and maybe they'll come and they'll ask, what is that amazing sound coming from this house? I need you to play drums for me. Like, seriously, this went through my head.
That's amazing. That's so great.
And my parents live out in the middle of nowhere, in the sticks of, the middle of Michigan, where there's nobody ever. Like,
yeah.
I was like, Maybe one of them will just be driving by and and they'll hear it. But okay. Lay says you're 18 now, 19 in December. So okay. Um excuse me. I would definitely at this age, there's probably a lot you could do to start pursuing some if you have some kind of dream or goal for what you want your life to look like. Start thinking about that and start pursuing it. And then all of this drama that's coming from this situation will probably fade into the background and become just noise. And then when you get the phone calls or the texts, maybe you'll be available, maybe you won't. And it'll put if she sees you as just the backup person, for you to not be available sometimes is going to raise your level in that. I mean, it's a really simple equation of supply and demand, right? You know, the more available something is, the less valuable it is. So then when there's less of it available, it goes up in value. It's very simple. Like that's why gold has always been, something that we've used as currency because it's pretty scarce. There's not a whole lot of it in the planet. So anyway, that's about my best advice to get started. I'm sorry I've probably gone on and on, but I'm going to turn it over to Ryan and yeah,
Uh,
see what he's got to say.
all right. He says, I mean, my main problem is related to hobbies. Saxophone, I don't know what to play. Gaming, well, seeing her play with others weeks without a word towards me makes me jelly. Ah. So I'm very much in the same boat with Joe. If you, I think you kind of have to put the whole thing into perspective. And when you put things into perspective, it helps clear things up. Um, so I tried picking up guitar and piano, or both fell due to mental issues. Oh, okay. Um, so um, here's what I'll say. Joe is actually recently talked quite a bit about this over the past few streams that we've done. But the idea of process versus reward. Um, when you are going through a process versus the reward that you get at the end of it, a lot of times the process is much more important than the reward.
Mhm.
In fact, you don't get a reward without the process. But what you're going through right now is a process. What is your reward? What are you doing this for? Right? That's something to ask yourself. Now, you've already asked yourself this, right? You've already asked yourself. You just want to be their friend because they have a boyfriend, right? You don't want a relationship. But helping your mind say that to your mind again will help calm some of those emotions that flare up from time to time. If you want to be a friend, remember that a friend is something you are, not something you receive. So being a good friend means that you do good things for another person and you're looking out for them. Having a friend is different. Having a friend means that they treat you that way. But if you just want to be, if you like, you don't get to control that. The only person you control is you. So you can be a good friend, but to expect other people to act a certain way because you've treated them a certain way is, it's not wrong, but it's rather unreasonable because again, you don't get to control what other people do. You can give people a present, you can give people a gift, but to expect them to give you a gift back or to have one on hand, like whoa, you just happen to have a gift for me too, right? That's unreasonable. Um, so it's important to, yeah, just be a friend and don't worry about how she treats you so much. But if she's treating you poorly, then maybe she's not a person you need to spend time with. Because yeah, it's not It's not healthy for you. It doesn't help shape you into a better person, and it doesn't have a good end game or a good process.
Mm,
The reward for dealing with people who treat you poorly or people who aren't good friends isn't worth the process that it takes going through that, because the process is the reward. In a friendship or any type of relationship, the process is the reward. When you say, I love this person, I want to get married to them. Well, being married to them might be a reward, but that's a process in itself. That's a
mm,
lifelong commitment of process. It's a constant, ongoing thing. If it's just friendships, right? Well, the friendship is the reward, but it's also a process. And if the process isn't going well and you're trying your best and it's just beyond you, you know, you've tried a lot of things and nothing is working, then the reward isn't worth the process. It's important to pay attention to what you're going through because that is what you have. Your relationship with her, if you want it to be better, that makes sense. But your relationship with her right now is not a reward, not
mm,
something you'd want to seek. And
mhm,
that's how it's going to be unless she changes it. Because what you want is not your own commitment to her. What you want is something from her to commit to you.
mm,
And to desire that is not wrong, but to desire that is not of your own will. It's nothing you can earn. It's her choice to give. And so you're searching for a reward that is not up to you. Um, so it's kind of like, you know, daydreaming about owning your own spaceship. And you're telling your parents, hey, mom, hey, dad, like, I really want a spaceship. That doesn't mean they're going to give you one. Um, but wanting the spaceship is not bad. And the process you can go through to getting your own spaceship is probably a lifelong process. That takes a lot of time, money, and
mhm,
knowledge, and so on. The right people, etc. The right relationships with people, etc. And that's a process. But the process of getting yourself a spaceship is the amazing part, not just the spaceship as the reward. And the process of getting that spaceship is part of the spaceship because you get to carry that story with you, all of the things you learned through it with you. You get to improve on making better spaceships or having better spaceships be built for you, making continuous income, that sort of thing. However, you obtain your spaceship, right? And so your friendship is the same way. To expect the spaceship to just give itself to you out of nowhere doesn't make sense. It's not something that you have control over because you don't control the spaceship that doesn't exist. But similarly with your friend, you don't get to control how they treat you.
mhm,
And if they haven't treated you right so far, and you've tried a lot of things,
mhm,
then what are you looking for? Because what you've got right now is what you're going to have, unless she has a change of heart. And if she has a change of heart, it's not going to be because of you.
mm,
And I'm sorry to say that sometimes we get to influence people's hearts and change their hearts. But your best bet is to do what Joe said and become not so available. Um, and maybe then she'll have a change of heart. There's something called tough love. And sometimes you just got to push a person away
mm,
and say, and then that pain that they feel goes, oh my gosh, now I realize the value of what I had before. Now I understand it. Now I want to treat it the right way. Now I want it back. But that doesn't always happen. She might just forget you. You might distance yourself from her, and then she just forgets you. Like, doesn't talk to you anymore. Didn't really care. Well, then there you have your answer. I mean, you didn't really need to be with that kind of person. They don't have an interest in you. So your interest in them, it's nice. It's good that you're a good friend. And if that's all you want to be is a good friend, then keep on doing what you're doing. But if you want something from her, yeah, I think that's, not up to you. And hopefully that helps. I know it's a bit tough. I'm putting all the weight on you rather than her, but that's kind of how it goes, because you don't have control over her, right? So, yeah. I'm gonna read your questions. You said, "Oh my gosh, yes, I tried setting it up with my friendship, or trying to set it up to my friendship with her. My reward, her smile and me actually getting to talk to her. The process, a lot of unreasonable waiting and giving her a stupid amount of emotions and attention and time. Come to think about it, I just remembered Odyssey. The main hero did think the reward, coming back home, would be amazing, but ended up returning to a disaster. What actually mattered in the end was the road he went through just to get home, I think. Uh, I'm talking about an ancient tale, not the game. Yeah, yeah. I know Odyssey. Yeah. That's a really wonderful. I believe it's Greek. Um, it was a Greek story, and I think it's a really good story. And yeah, it's exactly true. Um, you say, okay, so I've made up my mind a little. I just have one more question. Is one more chance, and literally one, not just another one, just another one and another one. Yeah, more worth be given or not given? So you're asking, should you give it one more chance? Um, Words are tough. I don't know how to put this. Um, yeah, Homer? Oh, okay. Yeah, it was probably Homer. Um, so anyhow, yeah, you can give it one more chance. I mean, you've got nothing to lose.
Right.
I mean, all you're offering is your friendship, right? That's all you can offer is your friendship. Um, and you'll see what she gives back. Give it one more try. And you know what? Just let that be the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe it'll work out. That'll be awesome. We talked about how to make good friends or influence people. We talked about being good at social skills and stuff like that earlier. So you can take some of that advice to you when you try the one more try, with her. Um, and hopefully that will turn out well for you. I really do hope it turns out well, because it would be wonderful for you guys to become friends. Um, but if you find out that um, the reward that you have right now from all your friendship you've given, that friendship that you have right now with her is your reward, um, from all the years you've put into it. If it doesn't change from that, and you feel like that's not healthy for her or you, because honestly, it's not healthy for her. It's not healthy for people to. I mean, there is a degree to which letting steam out, venting, that sort of stuff, asking people for advice is healthy. But there's also a point where it does get to a point quite often where being an outlet for somebody is actually holding them down, um, because it programs their mind to just be negative, and stay in that negative zone, be dramatic, over emotionify. That's not a word, but things.
It's a word
um,
now.
it's a word. I just made it. You guys know what I'm saying when I say it, so obviously it's feasible word.
I mean, songify became a word. Why not emotionify?
Yeah, sure. There you go. But yeah, so there's a point where being ranting too much is not good for a person. And if you're allowing her to be that way, I mean, you could be doing more harm to her than good. So that's something to consider too. So
Yeah.
um,
Well, and here's another thing to also stick in the back of your brain too. If she has a boyfriend and that boyfriend is a serious relationship and you are kind of the go-to person when she's having some kind of trouble, you know, there's a chance, especially because you kind of have a crush on this girl, there's a chance, you know, in those moments of weakness that something that might cause some jealousy could occur. And in that case, that's going to open up a whole nother dimension of crazy drama, you know, in the event that something happened that would cause the jealousy of the boyfriend, whether it was real or not. But just, I mean, because perceived things, even if something didn't happen, but somebody thought that it was possible that it happened, I know that's been enough to set somebody off.
Oh yeah.
And you can open up a whole world of hurt in that regard. So with all this, man, I would say there is a whole world of things to experience and learn and get involved with and everything. Says luckily her boyfriend is a good friend of mine now.
That's
yeah, so that's good. Hey, so you've gotten a friend out of the deal, so that's good. But you don't want to do anything to, you know, ruin that friendship either, you know, and whatever's going around. Oh, nice. But I'll tell you, Lay, there are so many things out there to learn. There are so many things out there that you can get into and throw yourself into. I mean, I remember for a while, my whole world became band instrument maintenance and repair. Saxophones, clarinets, drum. I mean, it was my job, but as I was learning all that stuff, that was like everything. That was like my whole world. I was like thrown into that, and I learned all these little nuances of all these different instruments and everything. Like it all was just crazy. But while I was in that process, I met this girl who was doing string repair. She was doing like the violin and, you know, the violas, all the stringed instruments. She was doing that type of repair, and she decided just one day, she's like, I'm going to learn how to weld. I'm going to go take some welding courses. So she went and she learned how to weld. Because why not? And I'm sure she's an amazing welder. There's another girl I know that went through a fairly stressful time in her life, and then she ended up learning how to make wooden paddle boards, like stand-up paddle boards, you know, like the ones that you, and she learned how to make wooden ones, and that's, you know, that's kind of her thing now. And you know, other people that have learned how to build guitars because that's what they wanted to do with their time, you know. I know obviously all these are like music related stuff except for the paddleboards one, but
paddleboards are music. Yeah,
they're totally,
they make a great sound. They're
yeah,
giant
paddleboards,
basically.
they're the ones you stand on and you have a big long paddle. What's that, Ryan? I'm sorry.
They're for whacking in the water. It just, you know.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like a kayak, but you stand on it.
Yeah.
But at any rate, there's a whole world of things that you can get into. And I would just say start trying some stuff. There are groups, I don't know if you live in a certain area, you know, there's probably groups doing different things, you know. There are different meetup things you can do. I mean, man, you can just pick something to learn and learn it. And what'll happen is you'll get into it. And then all of a sudden your time and your mental energy will be consumed by it. And all the crazy drama just starts to turn into this little fuzz in the background. And hopefully you still have your friends. But yeah, I think that's probably what I would do, is just try and throw myself into something.
Yeah. All right.
Blue men.
So
that's what the blue men do.
Yeah, the Blue Men group are pretty fantastic at making instruments out of things.
Yeah, I was gonna audition for them.
Were you?
Yep.
What turned you off to the idea?
I didn't qualify.
Oh, you weren't bald enough
Nope.
at the time. Oh, you weren't tall enough. You have to be a
Wasn't.
very specific size.
Yes, you have to be between 5'11" and 6'2" or something like that, or 5'10" and 6'2", and I'm 5'7", so I wasn't tall enough.
That's it. Yeah.
Yep.
I had a friend who wanted to be an astronaut, and he's actually a really smart kid. I met him at Taco Bell. Unfortunately, he found out that the astronaut training program requires a specific height, and
Mm.
he's too tall.
Oh.
And so he got shut down before he even got out of high school, and he felt miserable about it. And I'm like, dude, that's stupid. Well, maybe they'll change the rule. Like, you don't know. You need to like try. Like they could change the rule for you. Like they can make different size suits, apparently, but it's really difficult because he's looked into it enough to find out it's not just the suits, it's the seating, it's a lot of the weight mechanics inside the
Mm.
ship, all sorts of different stuff. You have to be a certain weight, certain size.
Mhm.
Apparently, really meticulous. And to change all of that for one person is a bit much, apparently. And I was like, man, that I just I don't know what to tell you. That's so sad.
Mhm.
But anyhow.
Yep. Well, here's another thing too to think about. At one point in time, I had a goal. I wanted to audition for Stomp. You know, Stomp.
No.
If you look up Stomp, you'll see they play on all kinds of stuff too. They're like
Oh,
this
okay.
percussion slash dance production that goes. They use brooms and trash cans and all
Cool.
kinds of great stuff, right? And so I was going to audition for them because it was an amazing show, and I had a lot of ability to do different stuff. I could have been a percussionist. And so what I had done was, when I decided I wanted to do that, what I did was I started throwing myself into all kinds of dance classes.
Hmm.
And it's actually part of the things that's one of the reasons that the relationship I have with my now wife, she was then just a friend of mine, but our relationship got cultivated by me being in these dance, classes and learning dance, because I wanted to audition for Stomp. And so I was like, this would be a good thing for me to learn. I just started taking dance classes. And then I never auditioned for Stomp, but I learned a lot about dance. I learned a lot about how body movement works. And the relationship with my friend that turned into my girlfriend, that then turned into my fiance, that's now my wife,
Mm-hmm.
that whole thing unfolded in part because I had that goal.
That's cool. Yeah. Love you too, Lay. And we're so happy that we can maybe help clear the air on some of those things and talk about the issues. Open up
Mhm.
the mind. And, that sort of thing. That's
Yep.
cool.
And you're awesome. Just the fact that you make yourself available for someone to kind of
Mhm.
cry on your shoulder, that's a
Oh,
great thing.
that is a wonderful thing.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to discredit that at all, but at the same time, if it goes to the point where it sounds like it's at now, it might just not be quite so healthy. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You want to do Tara says they wanted to do drum in high school, but they had a requirement of playing trumpet. Oh, before allowed to play drums. That's interesting. Okay.
that's very interesting.
Make the wrist vibrations. Oh, but I did play a trumpet for you. That's cool. That's very interesting.
They made us play piano for a couple of years
Really? Huh.
before we could even be considered to be percussionists.
Wow. Neat.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to random.
We're right about at the 2 hour mark.
Mark, yeah, never mind. All right, JK. I'm sorry if you came
Yeah.
up to the point just to be like, yep, we're gonna do yours. Nah, I'm just kidding.
Well, and
But
science is here too, so we could have handled sciences as
oh
well.
yeah,
Science
that's right.
showed up. But either way, random, we've got yours on the website now,
Mhm.
and we'll be happy to handle that next time.
Yeah, for sure. Next Wednesday. Yep. We appreciate you guys stopping by. And thanks for coming up with questions for us on the spot. We didn't have all the viewers that we normally have today, or the ones that had questions queued up. So it was good that you guys were able to come up with some stuff for us to talk about, and we really appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, it's great to see some names I haven't seen very much in here. Cameron, Tara,
Mhm.
um, Saracen. Seen you recently. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah,
for sure. Thanks for joining us, guys. I hope that you had a good time and found some of it helpful in your own lives. Regardless, we just are happy that you're here with us. Oh, there's Lord Francium from
yeah,
Francium as well.
yeah.
Um, so
Oh, cool. Tara says, I still have a goal to play violin and a flute and music box.
you've been bothering Ro. I love Ro. She's amazing. Yeah, I haven't talked to her in a while, so I should message her. She messaged me a few days ago or a day ago. I don't know. I'll have to get back to her.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. But yeah, thanks for the stream, guys. We appreciate you being here. Um, and you guys are all amazing. We love you guys, and we'll see you on Wednesday.
Hmm.
Like you said, Ryan. Did you need something? Check DMs on Discord. Yes, I'll do that. All right. See you guys later. Peace. Bye
Hey
bye.
guys, love you guys a lot.